Hello, well, welcome to week 2. I'm excited to share kind of my thoughts and inputs about chapter 3 and chapter 4 from our readings. I have really been enjoying reading this book and just diving in more. I feel like each page I'm just turning and turning and turning because I just want to know more. And so, honestly, like right away, just reading the first page of the chapter, I really felt like it was describing the type of school environment that honestly I strive to have for English learners in my classroom. This environment, and this is a quote from the textbook, a nourished, inclusive, academically robust, and fun learning experience. And I just love that because I feel like that's what we all want for our classroom to be. And as an educator and a teacher, I really strive to have an inclusive classroom for every type of learner that walks through my door. However, for me I'm still learning all those different methods and tools and approaches that can be used inside my classroom to really make it that inclusive, academically robust, and fun learning experience. I definitely feel like I'm very inclusive and I'm very fun learning. But when it comes to that academics aspect, I still have a lot to learn. I'm in pre-K, so we're very play-based. We're very hands-on. When we're learning about math, we're not sitting down and doing a worksheet. We are pulling out the cars and we're counting that way. And so it's a very different type of teaching that I'm currently doing right now. And I'm really excited to dive into a different style of teaching, doing the teaching program. And so for myself, I really have enjoyed this chapter because it really forces me to dive in deeper with my own ideologies and exploration as an educator. It really encourages me to look inside my own classroom, the district, and the community as well too, to see how we could really stretch the vision of schooling kind of in those 3 areas. And so for me, as I work alongside a team of 14 educators, and for us, as I really see our differences as opportunities to learn from one another. Each individual at our work, we are so different from each other. And so it's really cool because it's like one teacher is really good in this area, another teacher is really good in this area. And so we definitely really lean on each other for support. And I've never had that kind of work experience, especially this year. So I am co-sharing a classroom this year. I am teaching Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then there's another teacher who's in the room Tuesday, Thursday, and we are completely opposite from each other. I'm extroverted, she's introverted. I'm messy, she's clean. I'm loud, she's quiet. And so sharing a classroom, even though we're not there together on the same day, it's very different, just even our setup. And so I'm definitely super easygoing, and I'm just like, set the classroom up however you want. I can work with whatever you give me. And so it's kind of cool because this chapter really does an excellent job at reiterating the practices for educators to use our differences as an advantage to help us grow as teachers and come together as a team. And so I feel like throughout this program, everyone who's in this program, we can really lean onto each other and really grow and learn. So the question from the chapter that I really enjoyed was, what parts of your story do you currently share with your students and colleagues, and what aspects of yourself do you hide in silence, and why? So for me, that I definitely share with my students and my colleagues are the fact that as a child, I struggled. I had a learning disability. I mean, I still do. I'm hard of hearing. I have ADHD. And so my experience in the education system was a really, really negative one. And for me, as I strive as a teacher to create a safe, a fun, a loving environment for all my students. And, I love being able to share my story with parents, with my students, with coworkers, with other educators, because I want to encourage them to really, challenge themselves, look at their classroom environment and be like, am I making this inclusive? If a student comes in who has ADHD, am I able to, make adjustments throughout the day to be able to support them? If I have a student with XYZ. And so it's really great because I have a lot of students in my classroom who have IEPs or in the special education program throughout our school as well too. And so it's been really great because I feel like a lot of teachers have been asking questions for me and leaning on to me for just input and support. And again, I'm still learning all of this. And I just love that we are a team and that we really get to work together. So the aspects of myself that I do hide or silence is my leadership abilities. The first school that I ever worked at, it was really challenging. I had a really difficult director, and she really just liked to shut me down. She would yell at me. She'd tell me that I'm too young. She'd tell me that, I'm not good enough. She would tell me that I don't have enough experience, that I'm too bossy, and she would just constantly throw negative words at me and just bring me down. And for me, I became really silent. And so when I started working at my current teaching position, the first year I was just really quiet. I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to jump out. I didn't want to be who I am naturally as a leader. And this year, it's really great because I feel like as that year kind of slowly progressed, I started feeling a lot more comfortable coming out of my shell. But it's definitely something I'm still working on just with my past experience. So chapter 4 is who you are, exploring identities and communities in the classroom. So for me, I really, really enjoyed reading chapter 4. I just was like writing notes because I feel like there's just so much information that I was getting out of it. So for me, it made me really reflect as a teacher. If I see my students as individuals, and do I take the time to get to know my students as individual students? And for me, I will say I do feel like I do that, especially I get to do home visits. So I get to go to my student's house. I get to connect with them. I get to connect with the parents. I get to learn more about them and what aspects of them can I bring into the classroom. Again, I'm still learning in those areas. I might not always do it, so I'd like to really learn of how can I constantly do it inside my classroom. And so there's really many great ways that teachers can connect with their students in the classroom and create a space where students are heard. So I enjoyed learning about the ways that I can invite my students in the learning environment and ways I can build my own classroom community. And so one way in my classroom I do this is by starting the year off with an All About Me project. And basically, I just have my students share who they are. They can make a poster, they can make a PowerPoint, they can bring a book, a share bag, anything whatsoever. They can even bring a family member, and just sharing who they are. And for me, getting to know a little bit more about them, I just love it. And honestly, we don't do it just once. Like I'll do it in usually like the beginning of the year, like September, and then I'll do it again in January. And then I love like an end of the year reflection and see like where they started and then how they are now. And so I just enjoy it. It's so fun. I love like big class projects. And so from the textbook as well too, this is another quote. Educators have long advocated for the importance of safe spaces where students feel comfortable in a classroom and can speak their minds without fear or of judgment. So for me, I definitely strive as in my classroom to create a safe space for my students where they feel loved, comfortable, seen, and heard.